Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children over the age of 18. So basically, just really immature people. Welcome to Uncle Rico Storytime. We've got fantasy football tips and tricks. We've got CNN's coverage of Alec Baldwin. And of course, we have stories. I'm your host, Nicholas Johns. Come here, little one. This is your co-host, Chico Rico, the Bandito Poquito. Zeusy is at my feet. It's July 10th. I think it's like episode 19 or 20-ish. We're going to do a special fantasy football thing. But first, an impassioned plea to Maple Bar Bunker. Watch out, pups. You're gonna get hungry. Maple Bar has reemerged. I've added her on Facebook, but I don't think she follows me. So I don't think she can see my messages, maybe. I don't know. I think everyone is well versed on how retarded I am when it comes to technology. To catch everybody up to speed, I matched with this really hot chick. We were just clicking, and she invited me over. I didn't go. I was trying to hold her interest that night. I asked her who her favorite musician was. She said Kendrick Lamar. I said I wasn't a big fan. She unblocked me, unmatched me. Or she blocked me, unmatched me, just basically threw the black curtain up and cut me off. So it would be really nice to know what I did, because that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back way back when. I haven't really matched with anybody on these dating apps since, because I suck. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Let's not talk, let's get right into it. Fantasy football. And then we could talk about the other nonsense, because you know what sucks? Is when you pull up a video to watch something and they talk forever. And I've already been going off for 3.5 minutes now. So, fantasy football. Oh, it's so good. All right, first thing I do in fantasy football is I buy a magazine. All the shit that I use is usually in a magazine. I go in and I make sure that I grab a magazine, a fantasy football magazine that has all the in-depth rankings and stuff. I don't need the team breakdowns and the free agent signings and stuff like that. I'm looking for team rankings, offense, defense, offensive line rankings, that kind of thing. The first thing that I do when assessing a fantasy year is I look at the worst defenses in the league, and I try to pick out a division that is going to be weak defensively, and then that's who I try to grab offenses in that division. Another thing also, if you have playoffs, I've stopped doing this because my luck is so shitty. Playoffs doesn't matter, but I will take a look at when I'm deciding on who my studs are going to be. I will take a look at when my playoffs are, like week 15, 16, 17, and then I'll see those defenses that they're playing, and that will definitely be, I use that as a tiebreaker if I'm deciding on who I want to take. But I look at those bad defenses. I figure, like this year, NFC is pretty weak just because the Commanders, Cardinals are going to suck. The Giants, Cowboys, they give up some big plays too. A lot of high-scoring battles in that division. Philly, Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, and Philly. Arizona is another weak defense that I had. Then I look at awesome defenses this year. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City are my top 3 defenses. Baltimore's kind of my top pick just because I think adding Henry, they're just going to run the ball all over the place, ball control. So I don't think a lot of offenses are going to get chances against them. Then I'll look at position. Bad teams that are losing a lot, I will weight the wide receivers on those teams versus the running backs, because teams that are losing all year are going to be down all year, are going to be throwing the ball all year. They're not going to have leads. They're not going to be running the ball to kill time. One other thing about position, a couple other positional things is running backs. I'll take a look at the top 5 or 6, top 5, 10 offensive lines, and then your really bad offensive lines. On those really bad offensive lines, then I will take down those running backs on those teams. The good offensive lines, I will boost those running backs on that team then. Positionally, quarterbacks are the most important. They get you the most points. I'm just a nerd about numbers and stuff, so I've done studies about, the differences of, how important those positional players are. To take the top point getter and just be safe there is always good. So QB is always my most important. I want 2 solid QBs, and then after that, I just go after running backs. I want bell cow running backs, and those are really hard to come by. So I gobble out bell cow running backs. I usually have a pretty good idea as to quarterbacks that I can take later on. I'll let somebody go and grab, the top guys out there, and then I've got my eyes set on people that will put up big stats. For the longest time, I would take Tony Romo because he'd throw for everybody. Who's like, they don't like the player. I like the stats. They think Romo wilts in big games and stuff like that, but every year he throws over 30 touchdowns, less than 10 picks. So I'll take that. And nobody would draft Romo, so I'd take him midway through the draft, and then I'd take another sleeper quarterback that I feel would put up big stats. So, and this year, with Romo gone, I'm taking Dak. Dak's the new Tony. Nobody wants him. He put up arguably MVP stats last year. I would have given the MVP to him over Lamar Jackson. Jackson had 22 passing touchdowns and 12 picks, something like that. I think Jackson just garnered a bunch of MVP interest because he had that was a 5 or 6 touchdown game last year at the end. So, but I would have given it to Dak. I can't remember his stats off the top of my head, but people don't like Dak. I'll take him at a discount late. He'll be my backup. So that's usually my plan. But then in the first couple of rounds, I just go heavy bell cow backs. I want 3 or 4 bell cow backs. I'll let the good wide receivers go and then just load up. The league has gone to this wide open passing game, so you can get wide receivers in the 8th, 9th, 10th round that could possibly put up number one stats. My sleepers at wide receiver this year, Christian Watson, he's finally healthy. A lot of people are looking at a couple other guys from the Green Bay offense. I think Watson will assert himself and be kind of the number one guy up there by the end of the year. And then Mooney, he left, and I think he's going to be the number two and just put up big stats. So those are kind of my sleepers this year. But usually I will go number one and then lose right away in the first week. It's kind of my thing. I have unbelievably, horribly bad luck. But I look at where I draft and everything, and I mean, it works out. I use my bad luck again for the benefit of Packer Nation. My first round draft pick pretty much always gets injured or shits the bed or gets arrested or something. I've ruined a lot of dudes' careers. I took AP when he got in trouble for beating his kid. I took Elliott. I ruined him. I ruined poor Dalvin Cook a couple of times. I had the number one pick one year in 3 leagues, and I took Tom Brady. That was the year Tom Brady got injured on like the 5th play of the game. My luck is just horribly unlucky. I traded LaDainian Tomlinson the year that he broke the record. I was in a league that heavily favored wide receivers, and I think he started off like it was a 100-yard bump. You would only get 1 point for every 50 yards. So if you rush for 98 or 99 and no touchdowns, which LT did the first couple of weeks, it was only 1 point. So I traded him off for like 3 number 1, number 2 wide receivers, and they didn't do shit. And LT just went on to just pump out touchdowns every game. Boom, boom, boom. I took Plaxico Burress and held on to him 1 year as a floater. And I was like, fuck it. I don't have room for him anymore. I released him. And I went out to the bar I was managing, this shithole in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And I walked out. I was like, I just traded Plaxico, or I just released Plaxico, so he's probably going to go off now. And that week he had 3 catches for like 12 yards and 3 touchdowns. He just caught like jump balls. So it's funny. I laugh about it, you know. That same year, there was a Packer playoff game. This isn't fantasy football related, but it's a story. So that year I was managing this bar, and I did this pool without water board where you put, it was like $5 or $10 each square, and then we give out first quarter prize. I think I gave out some cash at halftime, another prize at the end, and then halftime was a really cool canvas picture. And then at the end, it was all the money. And I ended up winning all the money. And I won the canvas picture. So, super, super unlucky. I never win anything. And the one time that I win everything, it's a contest that I'm running. And in order to fill up the board, I think I threw like $20 or $30 more in there. So I did have a lot of squares, but people were pissed that I won at halftime, and then when I won at the end of the game, the Packers lost, so I was doing shots all night long. I was pretty drunk. When the regulars, when the townies started realizing that I had won, I started going around. I'm like, hey, hang out afterwards. I'm going to buy a bunch of shots, da-da-da-da-da. So I had a group of like 8 or 9 people at my bar. We all did a bunch of shots. And then I took off for the night because the bar closed out. So the large majority of everybody from my bar restaurant that I was managing went to a different place in town. And I showed up there and hung out there, and then shit got strange. So I Was in the bar hanging out with my staff. I was buying shots. I remember that. Closed up my tab. I started walking home. There was a blizzard, and I fell down on this icy intersection, and I couldn't get up because I was tarded drunk. So somebody must have looked out the window and saw me, called the cops. Cops come over. They're dealing with them. They get me up, and I'm like, you guys just, thank you so much. I live right down the street. I just got off work. Da 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 da. Before that, when the cop first comes up, he puts the spotlight on me, and he goes, "Are you okay?" I go, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "What happened?" I go, "The Packers happened." And I hear him laugh and radio some other dude. So he called some other dude to laugh at me. But they get me up, and I'm talking. I'm like, "Hey, you guys, I know it's busy. You don't have to babysit me. Like, I'm fine. I just got to walk over here. I'm fine, da-da-da-da-da." And the cop's like, "You are not fine." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 100% fine. I can get home, da-da-da-da-da." And he goes, "Look to your left." And you're right. And there's a cop holding onto my arms. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not fine. So I remember he gave me a ride, and then I pulled up my bar tab. I pulled up my credit card receipt from this bar, and it was $160. It was a place that I get a crazy hookup at too, so God only knows how much I spent there, but I was only there 20 minutes, so that explains why I was flopping around on an icy intersection, unable to get up. But yeah, super unlucky. But I still love it. It gives fantasy football. It gives me a chance to. Normally, since I'm a Packer fan, I'm only going to watch the Packers, and I really don't care about anything else that happens. But the fantasy football gives me another opportunity to kind of stay into the other stuff that's going on. So I'm in a high money league, and then a couple of smaller ones every year usually. Like I said, usually run through the year in first place and then lose in the first round right away. That's kind of my thing. So what else is going on here? I changed my number finally after the hooker got me, and I found out that my number belonged to a really shitty dude. I went into Verizon a couple of days ago, said, "Hey, I want to change my number." And the guy's like, "Oh, my computer froze up." He's like, "Let me grab a tablet." He goes, "Oh shit, this froze up too." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably me. I have a weird thing with technology." And so he goes over and he grabs another dude's tablet, and that freezes up every time he tries to get into my account. So I was kind of joking around about me affecting it, and so I walked to the other side of the store, and he said he was able to immediately pull up somebody else's account, and then once he went to mine, the tablet froze up again. So I was like, "All right, man, I can do this on over the phone, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, do that. Call 611. So I call 611. It's customer service for Verizon. And this was actually pretty cool, but it didn't work, so it's not that cool. But I call up, and they're like, "Hey, you're verified on a old piece of equipment. You're calling from an old piece of equipment, so you're verified. Thank you for serving your country. It knows that I'm a veteran," which was pretty cool. And then it said, "Do you want to change your number?" Right away. I was like, fuck, that's awesome. And then I said, yes. And it said, "You are eligible for a new number search in 24 hours. And I was like, oh, okay. That was because I tried to do this at the store, and it won't let me do it now. So that makes sense. So I gave it 2 days and called back, and it said, "You are eligible for a new number search in 24 hours. So I'm like, okay, something's fucked up. go into the store. And the dude's like, oh yeah, here, da da da, but I gotta charge you $17. There's no way around it, so call the number. And I'm like, okay, well, when I did that, it told me that I wasn't eligible for a new phone search. And he goes, you got to talk to a customer rep. So every time it does an automated thing, you say, talk to a customer rep. So I said, okay. So I thanked him. I went on my way, got in my truck, started driving away. I called 611. I said, talk to a customer rep, talk to a customer rep, talk to a customer rep. And it said, please hold for a customer representative. And then about a minute later, it said, respond to the link via text message. And I'm like, what the hell is this? No, I want to talk to a customer rep. So another minute goes by, and it says, respond to the link via text message. Goodbye. And it hangs up on me. So I click on this link, and it starts up this text chat, which I'm like, this is not good. So I drive back into the store. I'm like, dude, it gave me this link. It hung up on me, gave me this link to this thing. So he goes, here, I got you. So he remotes in on this thing, forwards it to my cell phone. My cell phone rings. I pick it up. He goes, a guy's going to answer. And sure enough, Verizon operator gets on. He goes, how can I help you? I go, yeah, I want to change my number. He goes, yeah, I can do that. So I give my guys a thumbs up as I'm on the phone. I said, thank you to the guys in the store. I get in my truck. I drive home again. So while I'm on the phone with this guy driving home, we go through all the stuff, pick out a new number, and then he goes, and before that, I gave him my number. He goes, just in case we get disconnected, give me your old number that you want to change so I can call you back. We pick out the new number, and he says, okay, now before this will click, I get disconnected. So I'm like, okay, he's got my number, call me back. And then I'm like, you know what? That number is probably dead. And sure enough, I start looking at my phone. I got no reception. I got no network. Like, not even my messaging works. I make a couple of phone calls, it won't go through. I don't have a carrier. So I give it about 10 minutes, and then I'm like, this is not going through. I drive back into the store again, and the dude's like, bloop, 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 doo, 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 doo. Shuts off my phone. He's like, you should be good once it reboots. So reboots, still isn't working. He does some card, SD card, doo-doo-doo, resets something, blah, 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 boom. Resets the phone again, and I have a new number. So if any of my friends or peeps are watching and I didn't send you my new number, message me, and we can remain in contact. But yeah, I got my new phone number now. So, I should do a search on that number to make sure it's not another son of a bitch that embezzled $3 million. Yeah, that's a good idea. Before I change my number in all of my goddamn apps. And banks, everything. Brutal. Cross carrying. I don't know. So tonight I ran to the gym. It was like 6 or 7 o'clock. I got super stoned, and I park in between the gym and the grocery store so I can grab some groceries after I'm done. And I'm walking across the parking lot, and I see this like 5 or 6 people, maybe like parents, maybe some kids and stuff, but they're carrying this big wooden cross. And I don't know, I was just like in a good mood and playful, so I let my hair down and I went up and talked to him, not kind of realizing, I guess, what I would be doing would be sacrilegious and they would take offense to it. But I let my hair down and then walked up to him, and it was a lady and a dude. And when I walked up, I said, hello. And the lady goes, hi there. And I go, can I help carry the cross for you, my brother and sister? And she's like, we'd love for anyone to join us. And the guy kind of looks and he's like, what? And I go, I can put on a robe. And I think at that point he was like over me, because he's like, Jesus loves you. And I think that's like the Bible thumper insult. Like when they say that, I think that's kind of the, ooh, F you. Jesus loves you. This guy was like, Jesus loves you, man. Jesus loves you. And I was like, at that point I realized how inappropriate I was with them. So I was like, oh, fuck. That was, I don't know, I just thought I was going to be kind of funny. But then I guess, yeah, pretending to be Jesus to a group of Bible thumpers carrying a cross around a parking lot. You got to read the room, read the parking lot. So, yeah, that happened tonight. So, and then I get into the gym, and CNN is still bashing Biden. I don't know what the fuck is going on. They are promoting Donald Trump. I saw this thing where it was like, Donald Trump's face, American flag, going for, and it was like, and I was like, dude, this is on CNN. And then I was like, well, if it's a commercial, paid for by Trump. If it's one of those political things, maybe they have to air a certain amount, or maybe if the Republicans pay. No, you never see that stuff on there. But either way, it was a promo thing for the Republican National Convention. It was like, follow along as Donald Trump picks his vice president on his presidential campaign. And I'm like, this is CNN. What the hell's going on here? All the stories are bashing Biden, hyping up Trump. The bottom line headline on there tonight was like, it said, Trump confident he'll blow out if it'll be clear cut if Biden stays in race. Like, this is subliminal shit that your viewers are seeing. CNN, I feel like the Democrats are throwing the election. Maybe they listened to my podcast and they were like, shit, Donald Trump isn't going away. Let's just give him the next 4 years. But I don't know, it's crazy. So CNN, ever since the debate, has been pro-Trump, anti-Biden. So, but also on there is the Alec Baldwin court thing started today. So for the, I think he's being tried for involuntary manslaughter. I don't think it's murder or anything like that. But I don't know. I've acted. I've been on sets. They don't. If you're an actor, they tell you what to do. They don't. Dude does not have any gun safety. People say, then he shouldn't be fooling around with guns, but there's people on set that's their whole reason is guns. That's their whole thing. If this dude, I forget what he's called, and it wasn't a dude, it was a girl whose dad was a famous, it's not a grip, but I forget what it's called, but if she hands you a gun and says it's not loaded, you just kind of trust that it's unloaded. I mean, I am a savvy gun holder, a gun owner. I would do things like not put my finger on the trigger, not pull it, obviously, stuff like that. But if somebody hands me a gun right before a scene, I don't know if I'm going to pop it open and check to see and check the loads and everything like that. Yeah. I don't know. You just you don't realize that this guy's an idiot. He's been an advocate for gun control, so he's not comfortable around guns. And the thing about acting is, they tell you to do something, you do it. If the director tells you to point the gun right directly at the camera, you point directly at the camera. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I believe he's getting tried in New Mexico. So I don't know if a jury would go after him because he's so anti-gun. No, they would look at it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that dude's going to get found innocent of those charges. They should be going after. Anyways, who knows? What else do we got going on? Can we do that? Yeah, 31 minutes. Why not? So I was reminded of this story. My friend asked me why it's called Uncle Rico's Storytime. And before we get to the story, my friends or anybody that has questions should comment on the video. That way other people, if you have questions on shit, other people might have them also. And then if you comment on it, that's a good thing, because then other people can see that. So one of my friends hit me up and was like, hey, why is it called Uncle Rico's Storytime? Oh. And for this, we need a bit of the bourbon. For the origin of Uncle Rico's story, you need hard liquor. So, I was very young. Just gotten out of the Navy. I'd moved back home, and an old, not even really buddy, when I was a freshman, I went to a private, a Catholic high school, and got kicked out. Jesus, that's a story. Okay, so when I was a kid, I went to school at this high school that was a good 20, 30 miles away from where I lived. So it was a commute. After school then, with football and whatever I had going on, basketball, whatever I had going, I would have downtime until, I would make my way back home. So we would go to a convenience store in La Crosse, and I would steal shit. And I was super young. Felt out of place because everybody was super rich and we were not. And so to try to impress people, I'd just steal a lot of stuff. And what I would do is steal liquor and then sell it to other classmates. And there was there was a incident where some younger students got their hands on some liquor and drank so much that they passed out in front of the church, and one of them had to get their stomach pumped. And the younger students, they had an older brother that paddled around with me. So the principal of the school pulled me in and was like, hey, kicked out one of your friends, and I would like to kick you out, but I don't have any proof. No one will no one will give me your name, but I think it's in your best interest if you go to a public school next year. So I called my my dad up, and I pretended to cry, and I was like, I don't like it here. I want to go to a public school, and ended up going to a public school the next year. So I kind of got away with it, but I did feel bad. That was the end of that. Did I stop stealing because of that? No. I stole some electrical wire and got busted. So that was the end of my thieving. When I was in... No, that was definitely not the end of it, because I used to steal CDs out of the mall. So my dad was sick. And I think I was crying out for attention. I was trying to get caught. I would steal shit. And was going in and stealing CDs from the mall. The mall used to have like Sam Goody or something in there. I'd go in there in my winter coat and just stuff all this shit into my winter coat. This one time, I got a bad vibe, and the security guy showed up at the front and was watching me, and so I made myself really suspicious, and then started walking up towards him. And as I walked up towards him, I took like the 3 or 4 CDs that I had in each side, and I put them down, and I just walked out right past him and walked out of the mall, and then got into my car, and then pulled out the other CDs that I had stuffed down my jeans and stuff. So yeah, I was a delinquent little fucker. That was the reason why I joined the Navy. So, but yeah, so I was in this. I went to a Catholic high school my first year, and what's funny is I am still in contact with a lot of those guys. Just the friendships that I made that first year were pretty meaningful. So, but once I got out of the Navy and moved back home, I applied. I was going around trying to find a bartending gig, and didn't have any bartending experience. I lied about my first job, got a job at this place on the river making fruity drinks. I grabbed a bartender's guide, and when people would order, an old fashioned, because it was Wisconsin, I'd go, yeah, just 1 sec, I'll be right back, and then I'd run over to the side and pull up the bartender's guide and bang out a drink. So I was there like a month, I think, and then I went to another place looking for a job, and ran into my boy Mikey T, who I miss immensely, who is no longer here. He passed away, and I love him, but I walk into this bar, John's Bar, and this fucking guy goes, says my name, my last name. I'm like, what the fuck? I go, yeah. He goes, da 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 da. I recognized him right away. I didn't even know he knew who I was. My sister was in his grade, so we start talking, and he like calls up the owner and gets me a job at this place. And this place was so hard to get into. They had like a stack of bartending apps, and they hired me, and it was a lot easier than the other place because it was just shots, and drinks, banging out, opening up cans of beer. It was all cash, so it's probably still cash. No, it's probably cards and everything's regulated. I don't want to get them in trouble for God's sakes, but um, yeah, this was just an awesome place. It was where the older drinkers. My hometown is known for I think for a while it was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most bars consecutive on one street. It was like 27 bars in a row or something like that. But they had this bar was like the cool place where if you get kicked out, you get kicked out, and you're done. And people wouldn't start too much shit there. But oh my god. Everybody had a nickname, and my buddy Swiffy started out as a cleaning guy, so his name was Swiffer. I had a bar manager with big old lips who we called Guido or Lips. There was another guy Gorm. There was another guy Squirrel. My boy MJR had this little harem that like 3 or 4 girls that were awesome, that were regulars, that were just cool chicks that hung out all the time, and they were friends with my buddy Matt. And they were there one day, and people were getting pissed because I didn't have a nickname, and they were just like, we'd be fucked up after we're closed down and everything, hanging out, and somebody'd be like, Twinkie Dick, we're gonna call you Twinkie Dick anymore. Like, they were pressing hardcore. I'd been there a while, never had still didn't have a nickname, and it was kind of pissing people off. So they had these girls that are hanging out, and they were talking about Napoleon Dynamite, and they were kind of handing out like everybody's characters. And my boy Matt talks like this, where there's no emotion, and so he talks like Napoleon Dynamite. So they were handing out all these, like, the girls were picking out La Fonda, and stuff like that, and the girls were like, who's Nick? And one of the girls is like, oh, I tell stories like Uncle Rico. So, and immediately behind me, I hear, there it is. It's Guido, the manager. So he goes over and rings the bell, and he introduces me as Uncle Rico to the bar. And within 6 fucking months, man, like, my friends, my family, everybody from my hometown is calling me Uncle Rico. My brother-in-law, Uncle Rico. So that is the birth of Uncle Rico. So ultimately, in a roundabout way, the birth of Uncle Rico belongs to my boy Mike, who I miss very much. So, cheers, buddy. So that's how Uncle Rico came to be. And that is the end of this evening's story time. So, if you disagree with any of my fantasy football tips or tricks, make sure you leave a comment. If you like them, make sure you like and subscribe and do all of that and share it. If you have any funny stories, comment with them. That one's dead. We're going to get a new one. And please, 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 remember that the left lane is for passing. Thank you.